You are looking at a roof that is baking under the sun, easily reaching temperatures that would burn your hand if you touched it for more than a second. On a clear summer afternoon, a dark asphalt shingle roof can reach 150 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, hot enough to cook through in minutes, hot enough that the air directly above it shimmers and distorts like the surface of a road in a heat mirage. Most people see that heat as a problem, something to block, something to insulate against, something to escape from, something that drives up the cost of cooling their home every summer and shows up as a larger number on an electricity bill that was already too high. The entire modern construction industry is oriented around this framing. Better insulation, reflective coatings, radiant barriers installed in attics to bounce heat back before it can penetrate the living space below. The assumption baked into almost every building material decision made in the last century is that heat is the enemy, and the correct response to it is defense. But there is a very small group of engineers and builders and independent thinkers who look at that same baking roof and see something else entirely. They see pressure, they see movement, they see energy that is already there, already paid for by the sun, already arriving at your house every single day whether you want it or not. And they ask a different question, not how do we get rid of this heat, but how do we make it do something useful before it leaves? There is a moment, usually around mid-afternoon on a sunny day, when the air just above your roof becomes significantly hotter than the air even a few feet higher up. That thin layer of superheated air sitting directly against the roof surface is less dense than the cooler air above it, and less dense air in the presence of denser air does not stay where it is. It rises. It has to. It rises because denser, cooler air is continuously pushing in from the sides and underneath, displacing the lighter, hot air upward in a cycle that continues all day long as the sun is present, and the surface below continues absorbing and radiating heat. This is not a theory. This is not a small effect that only matters at industrial scales. This is the same fundamental force that drives wind patterns across entire continents, that creates the jet stream, that moves weather systems from one side of the world to the other. This is the same force that creates thermals, those invisible columns of rising warm air that birds of prey and glider pilots have been exploiting for centuries, riding upward for miles without flapping a wing or burning a drop of fuel. And on your roof, right now, on any sunny afternoon, it is happening continuously, completely unnoticed, completely unused, completely free. What if instead of letting that hot air drift aimlessly upward and disperse into the atmosphere, you forced it through a narrow, defined path? What if you gave it a single exit point, a vertical escape channel that concentrates all of that gentle, diffuse upward movement into something focused, something coherent, something moving in one direction with purpose? Because the moment you do that, the moment you take a broad, slow, invisible movement of air and guide it through a confined space, something changes. Air speeds up when you constrain its path. This is basic fluid dynamics, the same principle that explains why wind accelerates when it passes through a narrow gap between buildings, why a river runs faster through a canyon than across a wide, flat plain, why you can make a gentle breeze feel strong by holding your fingers close together and blowing through the gap. Constrain the path and the speed increases, and when air speeds up through a confined vertical space, it becomes capable of doing mechanical work. It becomes capable of spinning things, and things that spin can generate electricity. This is the entire idea behind the solar chimney, the system that most people have never heard of, despite the fact that the physics underlying it has been understood for over a century. Not a fireplace chimney that depends on burning fuel to create heat. An energy chimney, a passive solar chimney, a vertical pathway that captures the heat the sun is already delivering to your roof or your collector surface, turns that heat into a pressure difference, turns that pressure difference into airflow, and turns that airflow into rotation that a generator can convert into electricity. No photovoltaic panels, no fuel of any kind, no chemical reactions, no complex electronics, no inverters managing phase synchronization with the grid. Just a simple, durable understanding of how air behaves when it gets hot, combined with a physical structure that gives that behavior a useful direction. The build itself is almost deceptively straightforward, which is part of why it is so easy to dismiss at first glance. A vertical pipe, painted or coated black, so that its surface absorbs as much solar radiation as possible, rather than reflecting it back into the atmosphere. At the base of that pipe, a flat horizontal collection surface, also dark, covered with a transparent sheet of plastic or glass that allows sunlight to pass through but prevents the heat that builds up underneath from escaping back outward. Sunlight passes through the transparent cover, strikes the dark absorbing surface beneath it, and converts into thermal energy. That energy warms the air trapped in the space between the dark surface and the transparent cover. And because that warming air, now lighter and less dense than the air outside the system, has nowhere to go except upward into the pipe connected above it, it rises, continuously, As long as the sun is hitting the collector surface and maintaining the temperature differential that drives the process, air keeps rising through the system in a slow, steady, silent column. That is where the conversion happens. Inside that pipe, positioned partway up its length in the zone where airflow is strongest and most focused, sits a small turbine or motor, not powered by any external source, not connected to anything driving it, just positioned in the direct path of that rising column of air. As the warm air rises through the pipe, it pushes against the blades of the turbine, imparting momentum, causing rotation. Slow at first, on a mild day with moderate temperature differential. Faster on a clear summer afternoon when the collector surface is running hot and the pressure difference between the base and the top of the pipe is at its maximum. And that motor or generator, which in another context might be used to create motion when electricity is applied to it, does something elegant when the situation is reversed. When you spin it mechanically, it produces electricity. The same device that converts electrical energy into rotation in an electric motor converts rotation into electrical energy when operated as a generator. The physics is symmetrical. The conversion works in both directions. And a small turbine spinning steadily in a focused column of thermally driven air is doing exactly that, converting the kinetic energy of moving air into electrical current that can charge a battery, power a device, or run a load. That is the complete system. Sunlight hits a dark surface. That surface heats the air above it. That air rises through a vertical pipe because rising is what hot air does. That rising air passes through a turbine. The turbine spins. The spinning generates electricity. From start to finish, the chain of conversion involves no fuel, no combustion, no chemical reaction, no moving parts except the turbine itself, and no input from the person who built it beyond the initial construction. Once it is assembled and positioned correctly, it runs, every day, for as long as the sun rises and the materials hold together, which for a well-constructed system means years or decades without intervention, and it does all of this quietly. There is no vibration transferred into the structure of the building. There is no mechanical noise audible from inside the house. There is no hum of an inverter, no click of a relay, no sound of any kind beyond perhaps the faintest whisper of air moving through the pipe if you press your ear against it. The system is, from the perspective of the people living near it, essentially silent, which is not a minor point. Noise is one of the significant friction points with wind turbines at residential scale. The constant rotation, the blade passage frequency, the mechanical sounds amplified by mounting structures, all of these create complaints and limitations. A solar chimney turbine spinning slowly inside a closed pipe has none of these problems. It sits quietly inside its housing and does its work in a way that is completely unobtrusive. Now, this is the part where most people who have followed the explanation this far encounter a number that stops them cold. They hear the output figures. 3 watts, 5 watts, 8 watts on an exceptional day with an optimized system in full summer sun, and they dismiss it, not because the number is wrong, but because they are measuring it against the wrong standard. They are mentally comparing it to a grid-tied solar array or a diesel generator or the service panel in their garage that handles 40 ampere loads without blinking. They are thinking about refrigerators and air conditioners and clothes dryers. They are thinking about large, intermittent, power-hungry appliances. And against that standard, 5 watts is nothing. It is rounding error. It is not worth the time it took to read about it. But that comparison is the wrong one to make, and making it causes people to miss something genuinely important about what this system actually is and what it is actually for. This is not peak power. This is baseline power. There's a critical difference between these two concepts that most people who are not deeply involved with off-grid energy systems never have a reason to think carefully about. Peak power is what you need for a few hours a day when you're running hydro appliances. Baseline power is the slow, constant, unceasing trickle that handles the small, persistent loads that never actually go away. The phone that is always charging, the LED light that runs through the evening, the small fan moving air through a space, the battery pack that is always being topped off so it is ready when you need it, the sensors and small electronics that operate continuously in the background of a modern life. These loads are small individually, but they are always present. They do not go away when you go to sleep. And they add up over the course of a day, over the course of a week, over the course of a year, to a meaningful portion of residential electricity consumption. A system producing 5 watts continuously for 8 hours of good sun generates 40 watt-hours in a single day. That is enough to fully charge a smartphone from empty to full twice over with energy to spare. Over a month, that is 1,200 watt-hours, more than a kilowatt-hour of electricity that did not come from the grid, that did not require fuel, that did not produce any emissions, and that cost nothing to generate beyond the initial materials cost of building the system. Over a year, that compounds into numbers that begin to feel real in the context of an electricity bill. And the system does this every day without asking for anything, without requiring any attention, without any operational cost whatsoever. There's also something happening inside the chimney itself that is easy to overlook, but matters significantly for performance. The pipe is not just a passive conduit for air that was heated at the base. The pipe is itself exposed to the sun along its entire length. A black vertical pipe standing in direct sunlight absorbs solar radiation across its whole surface area. That absorbed energy heats the pipe material, and that heat radiates inward, warming the air column inside the pipe beyond what it was when it entered at the base. This increases the temperature differential between the air inside the pipe and the ambient air outside it, which strengthens the buoyancy force driving the upward airflow. A hotter pipe means a stronger draft. A stronger draft means faster airflow through the turbine section. Faster airflow means more rotational force on the turbine blades and higher electrical output. The system is not just using the collector at the base as its sole heat input. It is using the entire length of exposed pipe as a distributed solar absorber, continuously adding energy to the air column all the way from base to top. This distributed heating effect is part of what makes a tall, black-painted chimney more effective than a short one by a margin that exceeds what the height difference alone would predict. The feedback dynamics of the system are worth understanding because they reveal something elegant about its design. On a mild day with moderate sun, the temperature differential is modest, the airflow is gentle, and the output is small. On a hot, clear day with intense direct sun, the collector surface gets hotter. The pipe gets hotter, the air column inside gets hotter, the pressure differential between base and top increases, the airflow accelerates, the turbine spins faster, and the output increases. The system is not a fixed output machine, it is a responsive one. It scales its output with the available solar resource without any controls, without any tracking or adjustment, without any human involvement. It simply becomes more productive when conditions are more favorable, and it does this automatically through the same physics that makes it work in the first place. If you stand above the chimney on a clear summer afternoon and hold your hand over the opening at the top, you can feel it directly. A steady column of warm air moving upward with enough force to be distinctly noticeable against your palm. Not a gale, not a violent rush. A steady, purposeful current of air, warm and constant, invisible but present. And embedded in that current, your turbine is spinning, translating that invisible movement into electrical current flowing into a battery or directly powering whatever small load you have connected to it. The sensation of that warm air against your hand is the sensation of the system working, of physics operating exactly as it should, of energy that was going to dissipate into the atmosphere anyway being intercepted at the last moment and turned into something useful. Now think about what this means, not just for a single homeowner, but for the broader logic of how buildings interact with energy. Every building with a roof is receiving an enormous quantity of solar energy every clear day. Some of that energy is being managed through insulation and reflective coatings. Some of it is being captured by photovoltaic panels where they have been installed. But an enormous amount of it is being converted into heat that warms roof surfaces, creates thermal gradients, drives convective air movement, and then dissipates into the atmosphere completely unused. The solar chimney is not a replacement for photovoltaics. It is not competing with panels for the same use case. It is capturing a different portion of the solar resource, the thermal portion that panels actually perform worse in because elevated temperatures reduce photovoltaic efficiency, and converting it through a completely different mechanism. A hot roof that makes solar panels less efficient is exactly the condition that makes a solar chimney more effective. The two systems are not in competition. They are complementary. They respond to the same input in different ways and produce different outputs that together cover a broader range of a building's energy needs. This is not about replacing your entire power system with a chimney and a small turbine. Anyone who approaches it with that expectation will be disappointed, because that is not what the system is designed to do and not what it is capable of doing at reasonable scales without significant engineering investment. What it is about is something more modest and in some ways more valuable. It is about removing small dependencies, about chipping away at the constant baseline draw that electricity providers count on collecting payment for every month, indefinitely. Every small load that moves off the grid and onto a self-generated supply is a reduction in the bill, a reduction in the fossil fuel combustion that generating that electricity requires somewhere upstream, and a step toward a different relationship between a building and its energy supply. One where the building is not purely a consumer of energy produced elsewhere, but is also, in a small but real way, a producer. The scalability of the concept is also worth thinking through because nothing about the basic principle requires it to remain small. A larger collector surface at the base of the chimney captures more solar energy and heats more air. A taller chimney creates a larger pressure differential between base and top, driving faster airflow through the turbine section. A wider pipe accommodates larger turbines capable of converting more of that airflow into electricity. In the 1980s, a Spanish engineer named Jörg Schleich built an experimental solar chimney power plant in Manzanares, Spain, with a collector spanning nearly 50,000 square meters and a chimney 200 meters tall. That system generated 50 kilowatts of electricity consistently during daylight hours, enough to power dozens of homes, from nothing more than a greenhouse-style ground collector, a tall tower, and wind turbines at the base of the chimney responding to the thermally driven updraft. No fuel, no panels, no exotic materials. Just the same principle, operating at a scale where its output became economically meaningful. The physics that powers a small DIY chimney in a backyard is identical to the physics that powered that experimental plant. The difference is only scale and engineering precision. The reason solar chimney technology did not become mainstream after that demonstration is not technical failure. The Manzanares plant worked exactly as predicted. It is the same reason that passive cooling systems and dew condensation gardens and earth tube ventilation never became standard practice. The system, once built, requires nothing. There's no fuel supply chain attached to it. There's no maintenance contract that follows from building it. There's no component with a predictable wear cycle that generates replacement sales. A technology that operates on physics alone, drawing its input from freely available sunlight, and producing its output without ongoing cost, does not fit the economic model of an energy industry built on the recurring sale of fuel and the recurring replacement of equipment. It was demonstrated, documented, and then quietly set aside while the industry continued along a trajectory that required continued consumption. But the physics was not set aside. The sun continued arriving at the same intensity. Roofs continued heating to temperatures that would cook your hand. Hot air continued rising above every sun-exposed surface on the planet every single day, completely unused. The opportunity that the Manzanares plant demonstrated did not close when funding for further development dried up. It is still there, on every roof, on every dark surface exposed to direct sunlight, right now, somewhere above you. If you are reading this in daylight, air is heating, becoming buoyant, rising, and dispersing into the atmosphere, carrying away energy that arrived at your building for free and is leaving without doing any work. Building a solar chimney is not a complicated technical project. It does not require specialized skills or professional tools. A length of black painted pipe, a simple ground level or roof level collector made from dark material covered with clear plastic sheeting, a small DC motor or purpose-built microturbine positioned in the airflow path, wiring connecting the generator output to a battery or directly to a small load. These are the complete components available at any hardware store and most online suppliers, assemblable by any person willing to spend a weekend on the project. The system can be built at whatever scale the available space and budget allow, from a tabletop demonstration model to a full rooftop installation, and the principle works at every scale because the physics does not care about the size of the system. It only cares about the temperature differential and the geometry of the airflow path. What you are doing when you build one of these systems is not adding something exotic to your property. You are not installing experimental technology or betting on an unproven concept. You are simply deciding to intercept a natural process that has been occurring on your roof or your land every sunny day for as long as your building has been standing, and turning it into something useful before it escapes. Every hot surface losing heat to rising air is a solar chimney waiting for a pipe. Every sunny day is a fuel delivery that arrives for free and asks only that something be in its path to catch what it is offering. And once you understand that, once you stand above a working chimney on a clear afternoon and feel that warm, steady current of air rising against your palm, something shifts in how you think about the relationship between sunlight and a building. Because sunlight is not just something that arrives and either gets absorbed or reflected. It is not just a trigger for a photovoltaic reaction or a source of heat to be defended against with insulation. It is pressure. It is motion waiting to happen. It is a column of air on the verge of rising every time it touches a warm surface. And a pipe, painted black and pointed at the sky, is all it takes to give that column of air somewhere to go and something to do on the way there. No fuel, no panels. No noise, no maintenance. Just heat becoming motion, motion becoming rotation, rotation becoming electricity, and the sun, which was going to do all of this anyway, finally getting credit for the work.